The Santa Barbara shooter unfortunately does have a number of supporters, people who feel sorry for him, people that are empathetic, and it's sick to know that that's the case, especially when you have certain websites that are not necessarily encouraging his behavior, but very understanding toward his behavior. So one example is a pickup artist website. I really considered whether or not I wanted to identify what the website is, and I'm going to go against it. I'm sure you can look it up on your own if you really want to know. But the writer goes by the name Roosh, and here's what he had to say. Here's his commentary on the tragic stabbing and shooting that took place in Santa Barbara over the weekend. He says all these groups, and he's referring to anti-pickup artist websites and feminists, are complicit for creating a cultural environment that allowed this massacre to occur. It is them who must accept responsibility for these 7 deaths and make the moral change to their ideologies in order to prevent such an act from happening again. All right, that's interesting. What is he specifically referring to? Well, he specifies in the following comment. He says, "We live in a society where being shy, normal, or a little awkward is duly punished by entitled American women who have been encouraged to pursue exciting and fun casual sex in their prime with sexy and hot men as a way of experimentation." So let's stop right there. So you're telling me right now that it's okay for this 22-year-old man who went off stabbing and shooting people to death to seek casual sexual relationships, to want that kind of physical activity. But for women to be open with their sexuality and to want to date whoever they want to date and sleep with whoever they want to sleep with, that's unacceptable. That's a product of American feminism that we should be ashamed of and afraid of. And by the way, if you want to have casual sex, who are you going to have casual sex with? If women aren't allowed to have casual sex, what are you going to do? Jerk off in a corner? This kind of bullshit drives me freaking crazy because it is giving this guy a pass. It is basically telling him, hey, you know what? Your action was justified because these women don't want to open their legs to you, and it makes me absolutely sick. Let me give you more. When women have passed their physical prime, they select a nice guy with whom they settle down with the understanding that he is expected to keep his mouth shut when a trickle flow of informational torture reveals that his bride-to-be has experienced more than a dozen different penises in her vagina, anus, and mouth, the same mouth that is supposed to kiss his future children goodnight. Well, I'd like to know how many vaginas you've had in your mouth, Roosh. It's totally acceptable for a dude to do it, but if a girl does it, well, she's just a whore, right? She deserves to get shot. She deserves to get attacked. I mean, the sexual entitlement only applies to men, but when women want to be open with their sexuality, it's not okay. And look, that double standard has existed forever. If a woman doesn't have sex, she's a prude. If she does have sex, she's a whore, right? But what makes me so sick is that this guy is writing this almost in defense of what this guy did, and it makes me sick. It's shifting the blame from something that might be legitimate, like gun laws, lack of mental health, what have you, and it's shifting that blame onto women. Women didn't do anything wrong. How insulting is it to the people who died as a result of that madman? Let me give you more. He said, "I've personally interacted with men who functioned lower than him, but were later able to successfully meet average-looking women and achieve intimacy with them. Until you give men like Roger a way to have sex, either by encouraging him to learn game, seek out a Thai wife, or engage in legalized prostitution, 3 things that the American media and cultural elite venomously attack, it's inevitable for another massacre to occur." So that's his commentary on a tragic, depressing story. Shift the blame onto women, shift the blame onto the fact that, hey, this dude couldn't legally find a Thai wife, and go ahead and blame the victims in this case. It's absolutely sick and maddening that there are people out there that think that kind of thought and that type of ideology is acceptable or okay. And someone needs to stand up and give them a middle finger and tell them, no, that is not the right way. You are not entitled to have sex with whomever you want. You are not entitled to force or manipulate someone into having sex with you. That goes for both men and women. It has to be consensual. And in a day and age where we're dealing with rapes on college campuses and inaction when it comes to testing rape kits and actually prosecuting rapists, it makes me sick to my stomach that an asshole like this can post something about a tragic event that occurred over the weekend.
You know what also goes along with this? It's a lot of times it's put on this weird guy who can't get a girl. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, I noticed this a good percentage of the time. We act like there's only weird guys with Asperger's or with any kind of social fears in our society. There are women who cannot get a man. There are women who can't get a guy to sleep with them. There's women who are awkward and shy and wear their clothes funny, and guys go, mess with her, and it happens. But they don't have this this thought process of, man, fuck society. How come no guy will sleep with me? Yeah, I'm weird. Yeah, my glasses are crooked. Yeah, I do this and I do that. And I drive a weird car, but guys won't sleep with me. They don't have this thought that they need to now destroy everyone around them because they're unhappy. And there's plenty of women. Weird people aren't just guys.
Right.
Some weird people are women too, and they don't get any relationships either.
Yeah, I mean, look, instead of looking into what his mental condition was, why it is that he is socially awkward, maybe addressing that, maybe talking about comprehensive sex ed and talking about how masturbation is a healthy way to relieve yourself of sexual frustration. I mean, it all sounds like a joke right now, but it's the reality. These are the kinds of topics that we should be talking about. We should have an open mind when it comes to this particular incident and what occurred that night. But to say that, hey, you know what, it's because these women aren't acting appropriately, and hey, it's these feminists who came in and told women to be sexually open. I mean, how sad and pathetic and sorry is that? And it panders to this ridiculous online society, online community, and it's a fringe group of people. I'm not saying that this is representative of men at all. Don't misinterpret that. But it feeds and panders to them, and it's sick. It makes me sick to my stomach, because the last thing we need in this country right now is to say that it's all right to mistreat a certain group of people because they refuse to have sex with you. What kind of country are we living in? And if you get turned on by that, maybe you should look into some fundamentalists in other countries that think it's okay to stone women if they decide to marry the one that they love, or it's okay to stone women if they're caught in a car or in a private place with another man. I mean, it's disgusting, and it has no place here in the U.S.